This episode is sponsored by Dayquil. Brighten up your day.
Not NyQuil. Fuck NyQuil. Dayquil's great though. I drink that like straight from the bottle anytime I get sick. I don't recommend doing
We
that.
don't
That could
recommend that.
that could harm you.
We don't. No.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, oh, I get a stuffed nose, Dayquil. I got a fever, Dayquil. I feel like I have a cold, Dayquil.
Dayquil.
I have a flu. It's like
Dayquil.
Dayquil covers almost all the symptoms I could possibly need it to cover. But then I look at it and it's like, oh, it's not actually great for fevers. It just helps the things around the fever. Okay, well, that's good to know. Oh, it doesn't actually help aches and pains at all. I just think it does. Okay, that's good to know.
Oh,
So
dang.
No,
I
it
need to
really
find.
is
You're
the
ruining
placebo
that
master
placebo
over here.
effect.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like it's one of those things where like Dayquil is like my Vicks, where I just use it for everything.
This
and I
episode
shouldn't.
is sponsored by Vicks.
Vicks Vapor Rub.
Vicks Vapor Rub. Vapor up your day.
You know, I used that stuff once back in
When you had the flu last
yeah,
year?
I had a pretty wicked case of the flu back in January of 2020.
Yeah.
It was actually the flu, for the record.
Are you sure
I
it
didn't
wasn't
get tested.
Rona?
Well, I didn't get tested, but my boss had the flu because all 3 of his kids had the flu. And then he tried to act like since I stood
And his
7
boss
feet away
did
from
get
him.
tested
Yeah,
for
his
the
boss
flu.
was tested. And he had 2 different strains of the flu back to back. So that was pretty cool for him.
That's fun. Was this
But anyway,
was this the haircut place that you were
yeah,
looking at?
yeah.
Okay.
You know, I stood 10 feet away from this guy all day, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, you're touching people's heads all day. You sure you didn't get the flu from one of them?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm in an enclosed room with you like 8 hours a day. What do you mean?"
Yeah.
He's like, I just don't think it's super likely you got it from me. I think you're being a little rude to me." And I'm like, "No, Matt, I'm not. I'm just like, the likelihood of you giving me it when you had it and your kids had it is really high."
Yeah.
He's just like, I think you're being a little mean considering I went and I gave you all that time off and I brought you some food. And I'm like, that was just nice of you, yes. But like also I had the flu. You had to give me that time off. I
Yeah.
had a fever of 103 degrees.
That was funny.
But anyway,
Your
I
old
used
boss was
Vicks
wild.
and my chest felt so hollow, I thought I was dying.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like my entire chest felt hollow, but I could also feel my heart beating really clearly.
Yeah.
You know, like it's kind of like all the stories that I hear about people who get like super high and they're like, "Yeah, I thought I was gonna die." That's
Noah
kind of how I
got
felt.
really high off Vicks
Yeah, I got
Vapor
really high off Vicks and I thought I was gonna die.
Did you know I've only tried weed once and it was an edible and I
Mm,
thought
I
I was
remember
gonna die.
that would make sense. I feel like edibles hit. Well, no, vaping definitely sneaks up on you if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, so one of my old roommates, she had gotten a baggie of edibles on a trip and she was going out for the weekend and we had talked about it and stuff and she's like, if you want to try one like while I'm away on the weekend, you're more than welcome to. Um I normally take like I think she said like a third of one.
Mhm.
But she was like, yeah, if you do one, just have fun with it. I was like, okay. And so I was bored one night and I was like, I'm gonna try it. And I was the only one home.
Oh
Oh no.
no!
And um the like little label on the front was like, oh, we recommend taking like half of one. And I was like, well, my roommate's a lot smaller than me. So
Yeah.
maybe like because of like body weight and everything, I should just take half of one. So I took half of one. And my other roommate, Stacy, got home like a little bit later. And I was just kind of sitting in the kind of kitchen at the bar. Um, and I don't remember if at that point I was already pretty giggly, but then she got there and I told her that I took one, and she's like, "Wait, you took one by yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was giving me a hard time, and I was very giggly for a while and having a good time. Um,
Mhm.
but then I started feeling like I was gonna die, and then that's just where my brain like focused, was the fact that I was gonna die. And so that's my story.
Did Stacy get home before you switched over to die? Or
Yes,
after? Okay, good.
before. Yeah, so
That's good.
she got giggly, Emma.
Yeah. I've never gotten to the die stage, but we're hanging out with Jackson one night, and he's like, "Here, I just got a new cartridge. You want to take a hit of this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" You know, you puff, 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 having a good time. I probably hit that thing 5 or 6 times,
Yeah,
which I wasn't even thinking about how much that possibly could be. In reality, 2 or 3 good hits was more than enough for me. And it got to the point where Jackson and I were both so high, and we were trying to play Mario Kart.
Wasn't it Mario Tennis?
It was both, but we started with Mario Tennis, and then we switched over to Mario Kart. And it hit so hard during Mario Kart that we like the first race was whatever, but then the second race we were both really out of it, and it was taking every bit of our energy to focus on the race because we were not able to actually do anything else.
yeah.
And every time the race ended, me and Jackson were both like, "Holy shit, how long was that race? That was the longest race we've ever done." And then it was like, "There's another one," and then we were fighting for
I
we
don't
were
even
fighting
remember
for
what
our
I
lives,
was
tooth
doing.
and
I just
nail.
watched, and I literally don't remember what I was doing while that
Tooth
was
and
going on.
nail trying to survive here. We both ended up winning still. Like we placed first and second in our first race, and then we did not place anything above third place for the rest of the pre. Um, you know, we did great.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Casual Obsession Horror Podcast, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. And we're doing something a little bit different today because our fourth host, Jeff, is sick.
What'd you call him? Bitch boy Jeff earlier?
I did call him a name. I don't actually remember what it is.
I thought that was
I
his
Emma
think
might remember.
God-given name.
I
Bitch boy
think I
Jeff?
called him
Is that not his God-given name?
bitch baby. Actually, was I
Yeah,
think
bitch
what I
baby
called
Jeff.
him. Because he's sick, which is really sad. But he's not really in a state to record. So it's good because he didn't see Malignant, but Noah and Emma and I did. So we're gonna talk about a movie that's currently in theaters for once. So that's super fun. So if you guys don't want Malignant spoiled, I would recommend not watching or not listening to this episode.
Yeah.
Because I will be I know I personally have some spoilery stuff that I cannot wait to talk about.
I
But
gotta be honest.
also, it's on HBO as well. So
It is.
That's true.
if you have HBO, you can watch it.
And you should.
Mhm.
I would go so far as to say. I think you should. I think that even if you end up hating this movie, you'll be glad you watched it because it's that insane.
That's the sound of Emma disagreeing with you.
We can talk about it later.
Okay. Anything that we need to do before we get into this, Noah?
What is this movie about, Nina?
Yeah, I was gonna say this
Well,
is a
you can't-
spoiler-free moment.
It's really hard to explain this movie without spoiling it. Because I would argue that this
do you
movie
want me to
doesn't
do
even...
it for you?
No, I can do it.
You want me to do it for you?
I would argue this movie can't really set itself up without somewhat spoiling itself. But yeah, it's a movie about a woman who is having
power.
these visions of someone killing a bunch of people while the killings are happening, and she doesn't know why she's the one having these visions, who the people are really, or any of that. And the police are kind of after this killer at the same time. So it's kind of a mixture, like mystery slasher thing.
Yep.
It's fun. Yeah.
Do you want to hear my summary? My spoiler
Yeah, go for it.
summary?
Do it.
What if your imaginary friend started killing people? That's what
There
this
you go.
movie's about.
Boom, boom, boom.
And
Yeah,
that's not a
I feel like-
spoiler because they say it in the trailer.
they do.
Honestly, I feel like it's really important to note that the trailer will make you think that this is another James Wan haunted house movie.
Yes, the
And
trailer
even
will
though
set
it's
that
set
up.
in the James Wan haunted house, it is not one.
Wait, is it set in the James Wan haunted house? Is this the
It is
Conjuring
set in the
house?
it is well, it's not in lore wise, it is not the same house. However, building wise, it is an incredibly similar
It
house.
it's got the same vibes.
It's the same
Um,
vibes as the Insidious house. All
they
the
Okay.
all have
Insidious
the same
houses.
It might just be that the cinematography of James Wan plays really well with houses that have a lot of, like, dark wood.
Well, also, it is an almost carbon copy of one of the Insidious houses.
It does have a similar layout.
James Wan has a house that he likes and he uses it. I'm not gonna
They
fault him
don't
on
go
that.
into the kitchen enough in the other ones for me to, like, actually remember, though, because the kitchen in this movie is what I remember the most.
I'm also remembering the outside.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Yep. Okay. So, yeah, that's about as far as you can go without spoiling this movie because this movie, I don't think it's super subtle about its twist personally.
no.
There's like
No.
it's like right there
I
from
have
the
a lot
moment
of
that you
things
get
to
going.
say
Me
about
too.
people who didn't pick up on the
Oh, really?
twist
There I can't
because
believe there were.
there are a lot of people who said, "I can't believe the twist when they put it at the end. I couldn't believe it at all. It
It
was
came out of
just
nowhere was
yeah,
what they were
people
feeling?
act like it was an out of
Really?
nowhere kind of thing when the big twist was
What?
revealed, and I don't know
There were
why."
some things that were said where I was just like, yeah, I had already kind of put together my theory, and then when like the main character would say some things where I was just or shots would be composed in such a way where I was like, I can't possibly be wrong. James Wan is basically just screaming in my face, "You are correct. You predicted. You
I don't
guessed my
I don't wanna
you
brag.
solved my malignant puzzle."
I don't wanna brag too much,
Nice.
but I'm not kidding when I say within the first 5 minutes of the movie, I knew what the problem was gonna be.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
not
know how it
hard.
was going to manifest, but, like, within the first 5 minutes, I knew exactly where this movie was going, and I was so excited.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Um
but I think I just there's some stuff I wanna let you guys know, though, before we move on
oh,
too much
let's do
further.
it. Tell me.
It's the reception, you see.
Oh, yes.
I would love to
Now
hear
while
about the reception. Where did it get
now
married?
I can't tell you, unfortunately. It's a
That's not
secret.
public knowledge.
Damn it.
Classified. One of the trivia for this is that the Seattle Underground tour is real and open to the public. No fucking way. Did you think he just made up the cool Seattle Underground thing for this movie?
Calm down, Nina. I'm about to drop some critical reviews here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just saw that on IMDb and I got really mad.
We got a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, 50% on Metacritic, which I think is
These are
very
all
accurate.
these are all pretty generous.
And we have a 3.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is a 64%. So yeah, everyone's ringing in about the 50% point,
Yeah.
which I think honestly does it pretty much sums up everything that I hear people talking about it.
Yeah. I think that reflects the public consensus from what I've seen.
Ooh, it did
Um
not make its money back in the box office. I was just like popping over to see just some trivia about it since this was an unplanned episode. It looks like it grossed 29 million worldwide and it was a $40 million
oh
budget.
no.
But also
However, a lot of people watched it on streaming services probably.
Also,
So
Yeah,
it was a
'cause
pet project
I'm
for him and his wife, so I don't think that making money back was a huge, like
I'm curious what the deal with is it Universal that's putting all their
mhm,
movies on HBO this year? I'm curious what
mhm.
the like financial deal is with that
me
because
too.
HBO has to
obviously
be paying hand over like
yeah, they
you know what I
have to
mean.
have made money from that. Because otherwise like all of their movies of course are going to flop except for maybe Dune, I think is
I
one
thought
that
Dune
Mhm.
was flopping for other reasons though.
Dune is not out yet.
Dune's not out yet.
Dune
Oh,
is out in like
I've heard so
Europe.
much bad stuff about Dune that like I've just assumed that it's out and not doing well.
No, Dune there was an old Dune movie that was
No,
not
I'm talking
good,
about the
but
new Dune. The old Dune
okay.
was not that bad.
Well, it's hard to adapt the book in general,
Yeah,
so
I watched
Dune
I
fans
don't
have
wanna
things to
brag, but I
say.
watched the 10-hour Dune movie.
Oh my god.
So,
Anyway,
what
let's
I've
not talk
heard
about
about
Dune because I have
I wanna say one thing
no.
about Dune really quick, though.
I
No.
wanna hear it.
Okay, go.
The thing I've heard about the Dune movie is that it's very pretty and well done, but it's covering kind of like a slower, like, boring part of the book. Um,
Oh,
so it's, like, a lot of kind of, like, build up and stuff, which is why, like, a lot of kind of what I'm hearing about people who have seen the movie is that it's a little bit boring just because a lot of it's set up and they're hoping that a second one gets made so that you get
wouldn't it be
the exciting
funny
stuff.
if they didn't make like a second one and they just have a really long setup movie and then it doesn't go anywhere? That'd be funny.
I mean,
That
that
would suck.
happens with movies sometimes.
It does. Should have happened with the new Star Wars trilogy, in my opinion.
The second one was
Dis
good.
Disney had just, like, gotten those rights. I think there's 0 chance that
That
they
they would
would
have
have,
dropped
like,
it, yeah.
yeah, dropped it. They spent too much money on it.
No.
But even with the sequels not being fantastic, Star Wars universe is alive. Star Wars Visions just came out,
I'm
which
excited. I
I heard
haven't
good
seen it yet, but
things.
I'm very excited for that, and Book of Boba Fett. I'm really excited for that as
yeah,
well.
More
Visions is
like
pretty
Bofa Fett.
cool.
Please. But yeah, Malignant.
Emma, what
Yeah.
would you rate this movie?